Hi guys, I'm Jesse at Strobepro.com, and today I'm going to be showing you a brand new product. This is the X200 TTL. Now let's take a look inside the case here. Every X200 comes with this, and you might be wondering, what is the X200? Well, it's kind of a cross between a speedlight and a strobe. You kind of get the best of both worlds. You get the power of the equivalent of 3 X60 speedlights, but you get the portability of the speedlight as well. So you've got tons of power, super portable, and this is full TTL, full high-speed sync, everything else. It's really an amazing system that fits in the palm of your hand here. So in the actual box, what we've got is the carrying case that we've showed you. We've got the head itself right here. Then we're going to have a mounting bracket. We have the charger with the plug adapter here. Then we have the lithium battery, the flash tube, which I'm not going to touch with my bare fingers yet. And then the other very cool thing is we have the speedlight head. So let's put this bulb in and we'll take a look at all the features of this. So one of the great things about the X200 is that it comes with 2 heads. So you're going to have the bare flash head, which is this guy, which we're going to put the bulb in a second. And then you also have the speedlight head. So that works just like a traditional speedlight, a little bit more directional, whereas the bare bulb head kind of throws light in a 360-degree pattern. So it's great for lighting up softboxes and different modifiers. So to put the bulb in this head, what we have, you can see in here, there's a little red dot. Now on the bulb, and I'm using a microfiber cloth here to handle the bulb, we also have a red dot. We're just going to line those two up. So red dot to red dot, and simply all I'm doing is pushing straight in. You don't have to force this or anything. Once it's in there, it's locked. You don't have to worry about it. Now for the bare bulb head, to attach it to the X200, what we're going to do is come over here, and we have these kind of inserts right here, and then we've got the computer components there. So that's going to match up with these guys. We want to make sure our pins are facing down, and we're just going to line those two up. So it's going to come in, you're going to have about a 1/4 inch gap there. Once it's there, you just push down and it's locked in. So the exact same way we do it with the speedlight head, and the release, just so you can see here, the release, we pull that back, lift it straight up, and it disconnects. And we can do the same thing with the speedlight head. Just line up those pins again. We've got that little gap. Once it's flush, just push it down like that. So your X200 is going to come with the XB29 battery here. This is a lithium battery, has tons of life in it. It's going to give you 500 full power shots out of this. If you're using it, you know, a regular person uses it, you're going to get close to 800 to 1,000 shots out of this. So it's going to have this white cap. Remove that cap, it exposes the contacts here. Now when you first get this, it will have some charge in it, but we do recommend charging it. The way that we do that is you take your XB29 charger here, line up the pins with the contacts in here. So that's just going to go straight in like that. It'll lock in, and then we have the other portion here, plug in, and then into the wall. As this is charging, you have a status light indicator here, 4 bars. It's going to show you the charge that you have in there. Once it's fully charged, we're ready to put it into the X200. The way we do that is this opening over here, obviously for the battery, the big square opening. Those 2 contact pins there are going to line up to the 2 contact pins in the bottom. Just straight in, it's spring loaded, push it down to lock it in. To remove the battery, we have that, pop it straight out like that. Super easy. And it's always nice to have a spare battery as well, just in case you're on a long shoot and don't have access to power to charge that. So we're going to start off with the bare bulb head and show you a couple of the features. But actually, before we do that, we should show you one more piece that comes with this. this is kind of just like a speedlight, so you might be wondering, how do I mount this to the stand? Now, it comes with this adapter. I want to be very clear that this adapter is simply to mount this to the stand. Although it does have an umbrella hole, we do not recommend using umbrellas with this. This is simply to screw into the actual unit. You can do it horizontally or vertically here. There's a 1/4 inch thread, so we can just thread that into one of these points, either there or back here. That screws in. Once it's screwed in, we also have a stand lock that we can put on just a regular stand, back that guy all the way up. And then we're just gonna drop it onto our stand. All this is gonna allow you to do is just simply tilt this up and down. Again, it is not designed to hold heavy modifiers or anything. If we want to use this with softbox or anything else, guys, the bracket that you want to pick up separately is the Strobepro Speedlight bracket. This thing is very robust. It's designed to hold our biggest modifiers. You could put a 60-inch octabox, a 63-inch umbrella. You've got both options. It fits all of our Bowens modifiers, so if you want to put a softbox or a reflector, it just lines up like all of our other Bowen stuff, and you can quickly and easily change that. This is the bracket that you definitely want. And the way that this is going to fit in there is it is quite tight, so don't worry about that. You're just going to line it up from the back, put it straight in. Once it's in there like that, we just tighten that down. And now we can use any modifier that we want. So just straight on like that, and you can easily attach it to any light stand. That'll just drop on there, and we can adjust the tilt up, down, wherever we want that. Super convenient and really robust. You're not going to have any issues with that. A couple other quick accessories just to show you that are sold separately. We have the X200 reflector. This also fits on the X360. To attach this, you're going to be using the barebulb head here. And you have two little hooks right here, if you can see. First thing you want to make sure is that you turn this screw all the way back. This is the locking accessory. Once that's turned all the way back, drop this in, and you're going to see it's recessed. Just slowly turn it till it drops in like that. It's going to give you a little kind of 1/4 turn, and then this is what locks it into place. So then you can use this reflector. One other thing with the barebulb that you might want to consider would be the protective cover, and it fits the exact same way. So when you're not using this, it just protects the flash tube. That would go in, we would just find the flush point again. That drops in, 1/4 turn, and then we can lock that in. So you're not going to break your bulb when you're transporting that. Now for the other head, this is the Speedlight head. If I pop that on real quick here. This has a barn door that is sold separately. This thing is very robust. It's full metal construction here. And this just allows you to control the light a little bit better when you're using the Speedlight head. It does come with the grid as well. The grid just pops out like that if you don't want it in there. And the way that it fits onto the head itself, you're going to see two little grooves on either side here, just above the Strobepro caution level. So that, that groove and then that groove, they just line up with these two. So if I just start on one side, just push it straight on like that, then you're getting different gels as well. You're getting a red, green, blue, and yellow. And this can fit on with the grid as well. It's just magnetic. It locks right on like that. So super, super easy. You can stack different colors if you wanted to as well. And you can pick that guy up separately. Now, the last thing that you're definitely going to want to buy with this is a transmitter. So this is the XT series transmitter. We make them for Canon, Sony, Nikon, soon to be Fuji, Olympus, and Panasonic. And these guys give you full TTL control, high-speed sync, full grouping, and a ton of other features. So you definitely want to have this on your camera so you can control your X200 up to 200 feet away. And we're going to show you how to use that in just a second here. So just a couple external ports on here I just want to show you before we get into the menu system. Underneath this flap on the side, you're going to have a couple different options. They're indicated by the little picture there. This is a PC sync cable right in here. Then we have the legacy USB port. That's for previous version triggers. So you're probably not going to need that anymore, but it is there if you have the older style. Again, that's the battery release. This is the head release. Over on the other side, as I mentioned, we have a 1/4-inch screw on the bottom and on the side there. Over here is the power switch, so that powers it up and down. And then in here is our little USB firmware port, and that's to upgrade the firmware from our official Strobepro website. So that's all the features on the outside. Let's take a look at the inside and the menu system now. Okay guys, I've got the X200 set up on a stand so I can better show you how this menu system works. One thing I want to mention, a lot of people on our speedlights, even on our strobes, they get their strobe in the mail and they think that the screen's been scratched. It hasn't. There's a protective film on all of our LCD screens that we ship with. Sometimes it's just tough to find the corner of it. So you just got to find the corner and then pull that right off, which will reveal your brand new screen there. So if you think it's scratched, it's not. Just look for that film on there. So the power is over on the side here, so we're going to power that on. When we first turn on here, we're going to be in manual mode. That's indicated by the M right there. A couple of the other things, we have a battery life indicator up in the top right, and we have this little symbol down here, which means that the timer is on. Now you just saw that the screen went a bit dimmer. It's trying to save battery as we go along. Power is indicated by this dial here, and we just rotate the dial and it will adjust in 1/3 increments. So 1/128th being the lowest power, and if we dial all the way up to 1/1, that is full power there. So the other mode that you have available when we don't have wireless turned on, like right now, is multi-burst mode. So if we go over here to the mode button, hit mode, we're going to switch to multi. So this will fire multiple bursts of flash in one frame. So if you're looking to, say, take a picture of a dancer, it will show the movement of that dancer in one single shot. So sometimes that can be helpful. The way that you set that, hit the set button here. Now you're going to see the hertz flashing, so we can set the hertz. Let's say we want it on 8 hertz and we want to fire 11 shots. Now if we hit the test button up on the top, you can see it just blasted off 10 shots there very quickly. So we're not too concerned with that mode right now, but it is there if you want to deal with that. Now, in manual mode like this, you would either be using, say, an optical slave, or you could plug in a PC sync cable to trigger it as well. Say you had an older Pocket Wizard or something that you wanted to trigger it with. To enable slave mode, what we need to do is go up here to the custom functions. This is also the test button, so if we just push it once, it test fires it. But if I hold it, it's going to go into custom function. So we can rotate through all the different custom functions there. Right now there is 6 of them that could change depending on firmware updates. So this is, one is a beep. We can turn off and on, and the way we do that, just hit the set button. If I leave it too long, it'll go out of that menu. Hit the set button, rotate the dial. We can turn it on, off that way. So if I go to number 2, we can rotate this now between S1 and S2. So S1 turns the optical slave on for this unit. That just means that it can be fired by any other flash. This X200 will look for another flash to trigger it. It could be a pop-up flash, another speedlight, a strobe, whatever you want. S2, which is not very often used, is it will ignore a pre-flash from a TTL flash. So it's an infrared burst that you normally can't see. This will ignore it, so it'll fire in sync. But for our purposes today, we don't really care about that because we're going to be using the XT transmitter, which is a far better way to trigger these. If I continue to go through here, we have the sleep function. I can go 30, 60, 90 minutes there. F4 is flash delay, so we can set the number of seconds if you're trying to do some timings. F5 is a mask menu. We will have a separate video on this. Essentially, it just allows you to control, you would need multiple lights for this, but easy masking. So you would set that in F5. In function 6, what we can do is we can display the T1. This is the flash duration value. So if we turn that on, in the main menu when we fire, it will show us the flash sync speed, or the flash duration actually, on the display. So you can turn that on or off, and you see right now, we've turned it on. As I adjust the power, this number below adjusts just so you can see your flash duration speed. So what we're really concerned about is syncing this up with the transmitter, and there's a couple of ways that we can do that, but first of all, what we need to do is enable wireless mode. So if we go over to mode button here and we hold that mode button, what's going to happen is it's going to turn on the wireless. Now, the way that the channel and group are controlled is right up here with the channel and group button. So we're going to hit that once. Now we switch to group B, group C, group D, group E. And we just hit it once to flip through them. So if we had multiple units, we could set them all on different groups. Say there's 2 lights for your background, we want those on A. Then we've got a main light on B and a fill light on C. That's what grouping is for there. Now, if we hold the group channel button, you're going to see channels start to blink, and we have 32 channels to set. Does not matter which one you set it to, but it needs to be the same on the transmitter as the X200. If you're ever in a situation where you're getting interference from someone, you would change the channel, or if you're in an area of high Wi-Fi signals, like downtown in an office building and you're getting a ton of interference, just try a different channel. One other button I should mention over here is the modeling lamp. So the modeling lamp will only work with the speedlight head, not the bare bulb flash head. And it's tough to see right here, but on my hand you can actually see it. The modeling lamp is on. I can turn it off there. If I want, I can turn high-speed sync on. This flash will fire up to 1/8000th of a second as long as you're using the XT transmitter. So for the Nikon we're going to be using, we don't have to turn high-speed sync on. If we go over 1/250th of a second in the shutter speed, it'll automatically enable that. Other than that, we have a reset button. So if we hold those 2 buttons together, it will reset the flash back to factory defaults. If you screw something up in there and you can't get it to sync with your camera or something, you can just reset it and go from there. So that's all the features on there. Now, we've got a couple different modes now that we're on wireless. So we still have our multi-burst mode, but the most important one is that we've added TTL. If I turn the dial when I'm on TTL, if I push the set button and then the dial, you can see we can add flash exposure compensation. So if you're not happy with the automatic settings that this picks for your exposure, we can adjust it up and down, just like that. And we've still got the same settings when we go over to manual. We can adjust it with the controller or with the dial there. And then in multi, again, we push the set button, adjust what we want, and then the hertz, and then we've got the number of shots, and then it'll blast those off as well. But we're going to use, we'll just set it in TTL mode right now so we can connect the controller now. Okay guys, we've got the XT transmitter set up. This is the XTN. We've got it just on the Nikon camera here. One thing to keep in mind, I could use a Sony controller to adjust power and everything, but if you're going to mix brands, what's going to happen is that you will not have TTL in high-speed sync if you happen to use it on camera. So we're just using the Nikon one here. Canon and Sony are very similar to it. So if I power on the XT transmitter over here, basically all we're going to try to do is match the channel and the group. as long as we match those two things, these guys are going to talk to each other, and life is very simple here. So on the XT transmitter, the way that I select a group, if you can see this little arrow over here, as I rotate the wheel, the arrow pointing to whatever letter there is indicating which group I'm on. So I'm on A there. If I want to, go to a different group, just rotate around. Now, I want to make sure that I'm on the right channel. I'm up on channel 1 there, but to make sure we're on the right channel, I hit the channel group button, just push it once, and you can see I'm rotating through the group or through the channels, and I can select whichever one I want. If I leave that for 5 seconds, it's going to lock in, or I can just push the middle button here, and it will lock in. I jumped the gun there, so now we're changing power. So to make sure that we're connected now, it's as simple as that. Just hit the test button on the top here, and it's firing. I turned the beep on earlier when we were looking at the custom functions on the X200, but we know it's fully communicating now. Now, to adjust power on this, we got to select which mode we want first. So we happen to be in manual right there. If I hit the button, that turns it off. You can see the display. If I just wake it up here, the display 2 dotted lines means it's off. And if I hit the mode again, we're going to go to TTL as indicated on the screen. And then we'll just go back to manual. So to control the power, I'm going to hit this middle button here. When I hit that middle button, it's going to start to blink. Now to adjust the power, I'm just going to rotate the dial up or down. And you can see the power changing on the X200. It goes in the same 1/3 stop. So 1/128 being the lowest, 1/1 being full power. Once I've selected my desired power, I can either leave it, it'll lock in, or I just push the middle button again, and it's locked. So now when I push the test button, it fires. And you can see at full power, this recycles in about 2.4 seconds. Depending on temperature, if you're using it -40, it might take another, half a second. But, right around that 2-second mark, which is incredibly fast, considering that you've got the power of 3 60 guide number speedlights in there. That's equivalent to like 3 of Canon's or 4 of Nikon's highest powered lights. Okay, so super easy. If we want to shoot manual, choose our power. Again, I want to go down, great, fire, and we're good to go. So if I take a picture in TTL mode or automatic mode and I'm not happy with the results, say I want to have more light, what I can do is just go into the TTL again. I'm just going to push the middle button here, and on the screen of the XT controller, as I turn that up, we can add all the way up to +3 exposure or go down to -3. You're going to notice that that does not show on the X200. It is still setting those changes in there, but it will not show on the display at the time. So you want to make sure if you don't want exposure compensation, just keep that back on 0 so you've got none. So one cool thing about high-speed sync, so right now I'm shooting and you see high-speed sync isn't coming on because I'm below 1/250th, which is this particular camera's shutter speed sync. If I bring that up, what you're going to see, let's bring that up here. When I take that shot, you see the high-speed sync symbol automatically enabled. That just allows you to communicate with the flash and the transmitter above your camera's sync speed. For Nikon, that's usually 1/250th. Canon, it's usually 1/160th. Sony's somewhere in between most of the times, and that can depend just on your camera model. That has nothing to do with the actual light itself. So you can just check in your manual what sync speed your camera syncs with flashes at. So that's really cool. That allows us to take some great outdoor shots. We can really control ambient. Great for sports as well. We can freeze motion really easily. And again, the whole beauty of this system is how small it is and how much power and convenience we have in there. So if you wanted to light up a big 60-inch octabox, which used to take 3 speedlights to do, now we can do it with 1. And it's just a tiny little form factor, so we can take multiple of these units. And the other awesome thing is that they work with like our X600 version 2. It works with all of our other X Pro, all our X60 speedlights. So it's just part of the family. You can really kind of tailor that kit to what you want to shoot. And it takes up no space at all. So again, that really simple to set it up. The only thing we're looking to do is match the channel and the group. And as soon as we do that, we're good to go. So the beauty really comes into play when we're adding multiple lights, put them on different groups. We always want to keep the channel the same. The channel never changes between your transmitter and your light. The only thing that's going to change is the group. So even though we have multiple groups, they all still fire. We can just control all those powers independently. Guys, I just wanted to show you a comparison between a speedlight. This is an X60 speedlight, and here we've got the X200 with the speedlight head on. So if I put them kind of end to end, and we're comparing them, we're, roughly, if I have to estimate, between the bottom hot shoe, about a centimeter longer than that, and we're, maybe half a centimeter wider on it. So you can see how compact that is when you consider the equivalent is having 3 of these speedlights stacked up to get the same power. So, if you're wondering, can I get away with, a speedlight over a strobe, this might be the answer that you're looking for. Again, if you're looking for the directional light, use the speedlight head. Super easy, convenient. It'll be a little bit more directional for you. If you're going to light up modifiers like big softboxes, you might want to use the barebulb head, which will throw light a little bit wider for you and out of the all the sides. Again, it's super easy to switch the head. Again, pull the lever off, put that on. One thing you might want to pick up again is the barn door. It's as quick as that to put on there. And one thing I would highly recommend, again, make sure you pick up the Strobepro Speedlight bracket. It's going to make your life 100 times easier if you're wanting to mount different umbrellas, softboxes, beauty dishes with the X200. So guys, I hope you found that interesting. Again, you can always find more information at strobepro.com. Under the help desk, you'll find this video. You can download the manual. If you have any questions, email us, let us know. And until next time, I'm Jesse.